I would say it is an urgent, specific, concrete message for all of humanity.
And the angels?
The time of transition is a time that does not forgive mistakes. Every day, dark forces attack us to lead us astray. A person is connected like two suction cups. One is here to the crown. The second interrupts the connection with higher powers.
What is the role of angels specifically in the transition?
They are waiting for this invitation. There will be a sign within a week. It has been checked many times. It has been checked many times. Right now, we are living in a very turbulent time. The time of transition is a turbulent time, I would say, dramatic. This is a time that I call a time that does not forgive mistakes. The time of transition is a time of polarities. Right now, everything is polarizing. Darkness is becoming darker, more evil, more dangerous, more insidious. At the same time, the forces of light are more manifested, more active. Therefore, this time is very, very important to personally hear, to have contact with higher powers, your personal contact. Because at this time, there are many false teachers, false contactees, false channelers, who seem to convey some information from the forces of light, but confuse people and lead them astray. And now the time has come when every person must establish and discover a channel with higher powers, with their spiritual mentors, spiritual guides, so as not to get lost. Because this is a dramatic time, everything is polarizing. Previously, to develop abilities, one had to spend years in an ashram, in a monastery, somewhere in austerity. Now one can develop energy healing in a year. In a year, one can learn to communicate and interact with their mentors, angels, and guardians very quickly. Because the light is manifested, it is bright, it is simply active right now. And just as active as the light is, the darkness has become denser. People are degrading faster, becoming more aggressive and angrier. The darkness is more insidious. This is the time we live in. And this time, the frequencies are changing. The energy of the earth is changing, characterized by the fact that one can no longer be. Before it was possible to be, I am light, but a little dark. I am dark, but I am good. Both light and dark. Now is the time to determine. If a person has these and those characteristics, it will simply destroy them from within. A time when one needs to choose a side and build a channel, establish a connection, not through gurus nor through masters, but through personal contact. Contact with higher powers is just one thing I teach, so that each person has a personal connection, a personal contact, to not be a blind kitten, to feel the direction and sense where they are going. You could say that this connection with higher powers is a connection with one's own soul, so to speak. Yes, one can say that, because higher powers speak to us through our higher self, our heart. This is the room. That is, we meet our higher self in our heart, and we meet the higher powers in our heart. In a multidimensional reality, if we look at it more, well, as if you consider the higher layers of existence, then our higher self and the source, creator, are all one, because the higher self is a part of the superconsciousness. It is a particle of God within us. The higher self is like an embassy or representation of higher powers within each individual.
Now, during this transition, the shift is happening from low vibrations to higher ones, from the old survival matrix to the new creation matrix. And the question is, how can dark forces hinder us from making this transition?
As I said earlier, they are very aggressive right now, very active, and they are precisely hindering this transition. In what way? They hinder us. First of all, from hearing our higher self. So this is the first thing. Those who say provocations, some say intrigues, some say attacks. Yes. In other words, humanity is being attacked so that a person stops hearing their higher self. Their consciousness is being filled with informational garbage. And so that a person loses this support, this connection with themselves, and stops feeling themselves, their desires, and the divine spark within. Secondly, they interrupt the connection with higher powers. When we are attuned to higher powers, spiritual guides, our energetic helpers, and guardian angels, they provide us with guidance, hints, and directions. We even feel in our sensations whether we are doing the right thing or not, at the level of joy, at the level of our well-being inside. It's like a device. They interrupt this connection so that a person becomes like a blind kitten. And essentially, when a person is disconnected from their higher self and higher powers, they become a slave, a substrate, and a donor. Because by severing the connection with themselves and with higher powers, and filling their consciousness with negativity, thoughts of fear, thoughts of anxiety, thoughts of helplessness, thoughts of doom, thoughts of nothing good. This happens. At this moment, a person experiences these thoughts, emits a certain vibration. And this vibration of negativity, sorrow, and doom is fed by dark forces. And they use people as nourishment. And that is why they play such a game. First, we are led into negativity, and then we experience this negativity. We emote. Some even esoteric practitioners use the term gavax, the energy of pain and suffering, the energy of negativity, and they harvest it like a crop. Once during meditation, I was shown how it happens. A person is connected like with two suckers, one here to the forehead, transmitting negativity, fear, anxiety, and doom. A person experiences this, applies it, accepts it, lives through it. It radiates this, and behind it, a second energy takes it here, as seen in the movie The Matrix. That's how it happens. Therefore, they interfere in every way. And this is what I wanted to say. When I was recently meditating, I wanted to convey this message to anyone watching us. I want to tell you that every day, dark forces are fighting to ruin your life, to confuse you, to lead you astray with various tools, false masters, false ideas, informational noise. Every day they fight, and you must fight every day to maintain this connection with higher powers. This is not just a matter of clarity, it is a question of survival. If you do not have this connection, if you do not have this inner support, if you do not have contact with the source, with the absolute, with God, then you will simply not move anywhere and will just be a biorobot, used merely as nourishment, just as feed. Therefore, this is very important. We need to fight every day, just as the dark forces make efforts to disconnect us from the forces of light, to turn us off. We must do so vigorously, with enthusiasm, with faith, with an inner message. I must fight to maintain this contact. So that I am connected, so that I am in tune, then everything will be fine for me.
And how can we start to protect ourselves from dark forces in everyday life? How can we limit their influence on ourselves? What can the viewer do right now for themselves, some small protection?
The most basic protection, I will give such an example. Imagine the ocean and the sky, the air, and in the ocean there are sharks swimming, there are electric rays swimming, various creatures. Eagles and birds fly in the sky. This is a metaphorical ocean. Let's say the low vibrations are the ocean and the heavens are the high vibrations. When we are at low vibrations, throw me there. There are white sharks, electric rays, and poisonous moray eels. Everything. But if I fly with the eagles, I am unreachable. I am unreachable for the forces of darkness. That is the basics we can do when we are in a state and vibration of joy, enjoyment, gratitude, energy practices, prayers, meditations. We are in an environment where we are unreachable for darkness. But because people are immersed in everyday life and hustle, they often do not do this. That's why I am engaged in this. I have a school of energy development. We have a whole month. There are 7 months of training, and we spend a whole month studying these practices, how to be at high vibrations, how to be in a state of joy, gratitude, enjoyment, so that it feels natural, so that life is interesting, so that life is a game, so that life is in the flow. And this is the best protection, better than any ritual, to be at high vibrations, to be at high frequencies, to be in tune with the heart, to live in an atmosphere of joy, gratitude, love for oneself and for the world. You are at those frequencies where darkness cannot see you, But as soon as you drop in frequency, fall and lower your frequencies, you immerse yourself in that world. It's like you entered naked, unarmed into the jungle. And the jungle is full of scorpions, snakes, I don't know, tigers and all sorts of creatures that will simply, well, just destroy you. Therefore, the best protection is yours, and spiritual immunity is your personal energy. That is, you need to work on yourself. That's why I say that time does not forgive mistakes now. It's a turbulent time. This is exactly the time when the frequencies of the earth are such that a person quickly sees the difference. Well, that is the decision and the consequences, the decision and the choice. And we make choices and quickly jump from one branch of reality to another.
Made the wrong choice now and didn't get a response later. Yes, absolutely.
Everything has accelerated. Make the right choice quickly. Well-being, success, green light always. Therefore, personal responsibility is crucial now. And what do the dark forces do? They instill that you decide nothing. Life is as it is, a hostile world. You are alone. This sense of doom, helplessness, as if people do not understand what they are choosing. As a wise person said, reality exists independently of us, as long as we agree with it. When you say, no, I do not agree, this is my reflection, my beliefs, my thoughts, everything changes in reality.
Thank you, Mikhail. Friends, let me remind you, all the links, Mikhail's school and other social networks will be left under the video. Go ahead, get acquainted, participate. We move on. We have the next question. In the world as a whole, a lot is happening now. Many heavy events are occurring, and in the life of each individual person as well. And the question is, in what situations can angels help us? A very good question, because I call myself, you know, an ambassador of the angelic world in the Russian-speaking space.
Because many people do not understand this moment, that, as I said at the beginning, the time of transition is a time that does not forgive mistakes. If before it was normal for people, and it somehow worked, to turn to the source, to the absolute on holidays, on weekends, and a person felt great. Now the darkness is so active, there is so much lies, so many illusions, so many different attacks. Informationally on consciousness, that if we do not stay in contact with the light forces daily, we will be carried away in the wrong direction. And as I said earlier, every day the dark forces attack us to lead us astray, and it is not enough just to be there. We need to make an effort every day to be in contact with the forces of light. The mistake of many people is that they turn to the forces of light, to spiritual mentors only in difficult situations, rarely, like at death, before surgery, or when flying off a cliff on a scooter, they remember the light forces. That time has passed. Those who are neither for the reds nor for the whites will be beaten by both. Now is the time to attract the light forces, and they want and can participate in all areas of our lives. For example, in work, in career. I have students whom I teach. This all has a practical dimension. It is not just words. One of my students has a daughter who is a designer modeler. She needed to submit her diploma and had to draw images of clothing for the designer. Creative people know who is an artist. If someone is a musician, if needed, it doesn't come. Inspiration must arrive. There is no inspiration even for one outfit, and several are needed. Mom says, listen, there are bright forces, but at first she was somewhat skeptical, and then it became urgent. Time was running out. They reached out, made a request, a prayer. She went to bed, and in the morning, this fresh story unfolds. Mom wakes up in the morning, approaches, and sees her sitting there at 5 a.m. drawing something. What is this? I was shown everything at night. She drew a whole series of clothing and submitted it all. Can you imagine? This is how they can give you ideas as an entrepreneur about what to do, because the bright forces, our spiritual guides, have access to all the Akashic records, like this vast field of quantum possibilities where all branches of reality exist. If you can think of something, it already exists there, and they can give you an idea that no one else would guess, no Vasya or Zina. People make a mistake when someone has success, and they try to copy it. like a franchise or something. It may provide a living or something like that. But the brightest moments are when something is given to you from above. Because it is given originally, uniquely, exclusively, and no one will think of it before. It is possible and necessary to involve higher powers in your work. Higher powers help make my work more interesting, so that I enjoy my work and derive pleasure from it, so that I have fun, so that it feels like a game. In all personal relationships, why not invite higher powers to bring a partner who will treat you well, with whom you will feel cozy and comfortable, to bring your soulmate? There are many cases among my students when I teach this. They make requests and they find such partners. I have one graduate. Recently, we have a witness chat where we share testimonies, stories, and cases. He says, I am already an adult at my age, a little younger. 40, I am 45, and I don't have a partner. Well, he says, what's the point of being 40 years old? Where will I meet people? I'm busy with work. He made a request. Really, he was walking at work, stumbled, bumped heads, met someone, and now they live together. That's how it happens. In relationships, I don't know, with children, here's a story of a graduate as well. The child is small, taking him to kindergarten. He screams, I don't want to go to kindergarten. Like a little monkey, he grabs and screams, having a tantrum. She started to call upon higher powers, hoping he would find it interesting in kindergarten, hoping it would pass. Just for a while. One day he says, I won't cry, I'm big, let's go to kindergarten. It's real. Someone might say, well, that's nonsense. It's nonsense if you don't believe in it. When a person believes in something, that's a point of observation. Reality adjusts to their belief. Everything gets rearranged. Our beliefs. If a person says, I don't believe, that can't be. Well, it can't be. The universe doesn't argue with you. In your life, that can't exist. And those who believe, there are people who don't believe that they can build, and they can't build. I believe I lost 10 kilograms over a few months, and there are people who don't believe in angels, and in their lives there are no angels. But some believe, and they help them every day. This is all reality, and we attract higher powers in helping professions. I have many massage therapists learning. We used to do massage before, but now that you taught us, we started to attract higher powers and angels into the massage. Sensitive clients say it feels like 4 people are working on them, and there have been several cases of healing. Recently, one of the students wrote that her grandmother came to me for 1 session, then 2, and I called upon the angels during the 5th session, and she said her knee stopped hurting. She couldn't sleep on her back before, but now she can. I advertised to all the grandmothers, and now everyone goes to her. Work, career, personal relationships, raising children, in all areas. And of course, when there are difficult situations, help is needed. This is the favorite option, the function of higher powers. And there are many wonderful things I collect. I gather testimonies from those who have studied with me. I often talk in my webinars. I have a lot available about angels and the help of higher powers, and I ask people to write their stories. And such people tell incredible stories. For example, a guy swam far out, got a cramp, and is drowning far out. The rescuers saw him. He was far away. They were in a boat trying to get there quickly, but he had already gone underwater, far out, more than 100 meters. They were diving there, searching. He said, I'm drowning, and such an angel, help me. He knew about it and started calling out for help. He saw a glowing hand, grabbed it, and ended up on the shore. Meanwhile, they were diving and looking for him. That's how it is. Or I have a graduate, Christina. We arrived as guests. Here is the house, the road. With a turn, there is a lawn. The children are playing. The mother is with the children. The mother arrived, but she was still a child. The mother saw the children, and as soon as she saw them, she ran, looking left and right, and starts running to the mother. But the mother sees a Volga coming around the turn, and it's flying towards her. Everything slows down for a fraction of a second. Mom, Mom, I know personally. They start to reach out. Well, it's like a message. There is no time, just mentally, to the Creator, to the angels. Help us. Do you know what happens? Someone is watching us now and will say, it was interesting before, but now Agiv is rambling. I know of more than a dozen such cases. Laws of physics violate. Car stops, rises for 2 seconds. She runs by, the car stops, passes and stops. A man gets out and he But he is in such a state, he felt bad not just because he almost hit someone, but he saw and felt it. That is, the man felt it, the mother saw it, and Christina just kept running. This is not an isolated case, because when higher powers intervene, it happens very often. Or when someone else got into an accident under a truck and the car crushed her, she feels like she is dying, but she is alive, just because the metal crushed her chest. And she is already lying there, she has no air. And she began to reach out. She watched these webinars to the angels, to Archangel Michael, and there she lies, unable to breathe. When she started to reach out, suddenly someone began to move the metal away like this. And they moved the metal, she started to breathe, and then the rescuers pulled her out. And this is what happens when the laws of physics are violated. I know of about 10 such cases. Or also, when the laws of gravity come into play. When someone was riding a bicycle in a mountainous area on a concrete road, and his brakes failed, and there were stones and rebar lying below, that is, rebar rods. He was riding without brakes on the bike, heading towards the rebar, and he began to reach out to higher powers. And when he approached the rebar, someone lifted the bicycle by a meter, moved the rebar aside, placed it down, and he stopped on the grass. And here are the people, you see. Now there is a watershed. Those who are watching us, some will say, oh, come on, it can't be. But the universe does not argue with you. If it can't be, then it can't be. You have excluded yourself from that branch of reality where it can happen in your life. And someone will say, I believe, and you are included in miracles, and you will experience miracles. That's how the world is arranged. There are scientists who say, I don't believe in angels. And they can every day, or in higher powers, energetic healing, as that is their belief. This is their point of observation, this is their reality. And every day they will prove that it does not exist and find evidence for it. And there are people, researchers, who say, we believe that it exists. And they have devices, Kirlian photography in a high voltage field. They set up a person, start photographing not the person themselves, but the radiation. And now let's pray. He starts to pray, meditate, the radiance will increase, and all the devices record it. Now let's pray some more, turning to higher powers. Then they observe glowing beings appearing in the person's field. There are scientists who believe, and they have evidence. That's how the world is arranged. If a person does not believe, they will live in a world. When people tell me I don't believe, I say, your choice, your decision, live in your boring world without wonders. I live in a different world. Every day I feel their support. I see their help. I know they are near. And I like my world when the supernatural becomes natural. And in fact, there are no special miracles. As one wise person said, he says, miracles do not exist. There is just a level of knowledge at which miracles are reality. People just don't know that this is simply a possibility. There is no boundary between the spiritual and the material. So, returning to your question, here lies the problem of people. They only turn to higher powers in times of severe illness, when they lose their job, or when a child is sick. Why do this? It's also good, it's great. Go further. Involve them in your activities, in your projects, in your relationships. Involve them. Ask for ideas. You can even turn to higher powers to teach you in your sleep, because the body rests during sleep, while the higher spirit is awake. And there is such a practice, friends, I gift it to you. It is a very effective practice. Before sleep, ask your spiritual mentors the topic. Some study, for example, proper nutrition, some study psychology, someone else is interested in something else I don't know, like how to plant in the garden or recipes. Ask the higher powers, teach me in my sleep in the universities of the spirit, because the higher powers have access to everything, to all realities, to all branches, to all chronicles. And then you wake up, and many people are already using it this way. This is a new time. And then you no longer need to learn the language, but you seem to remember it. It comes to you easily. Or psychology, just like that. Therefore, we attract higher powers into all spheres. We hold on to them. We align ourselves with them. Moreover, they want to help us. And that is their function. And it's foolish. Agree with me, Marcel. It's foolish to refuse help from those who want to help and sincerely love us. People, you know, as I always say, people are like hedgehogs. We cried, we got hurt, but we kept hugging. How many times have people let us down? How many times have they disappointed us? How many times have they abandoned us? We continue to run to a person for help. This is the tragedy of humanity. There are beings of light who love you more than your parents. There are beings of light whom you cannot surprise. They know you completely. They love you. More than your parents, they wish you success, more than you wish for yourself. They are ready to help, yet we don't even look in their direction. And we don't pay them any attention at all. They are gentlemen. They don't intrude into our lives, but they wait and they are ready to help. And this is exactly my message to people, that friends, reach out to your spiritual mentors, to your spiritual guides, to the beings of light, to the angels who are nearby. They are ready to help. You will become stronger. This is a resource. Your life will get better. They will not do for you what you must do, but they will help you with what you cannot do. And now I will share one last thought on this topic. The most important sign that you are in tune with higher powers is the synchronization of events. Angels and spiritual guides love to synchronize events. What does that mean? It goes smoothly for you. You think of something and suddenly opportunities, connections, doors open, calls come in. You understand, right? And everything just flows. But if a person is hitting a wall and is looking for connections and relationships there, doing everything, they are stuck. This is a sign that they are not in contact at all. Therefore, at least for the sake of being attuned, to be synchronized.
To summarize what you said, it is a matter of personal choice. To continue believing that everything in their life is bad, that nothing works out, and that everyone has turned away from them. Or to look towards those who stand behind and wait every day for him to notice and ask for their help. Don't wait until your leg falls off, or something even worse starts to hurt. Every day in ordinary life, one can ask for anything. And there's also the question of whether all requests can be fulfilled, or if there are some requests that, let's say, they will not fulfill. This is indeed a very good question. If one can say so, there is a code of conduct for higher powers. I haven't read it anywhere, but through many interactions and studies, I have found that there are requests to which they do not respond.
First, they will not respond to those requests that are not in alignment with the plans of higher powers. That is, for example, if a person makes a request that would lead them away from their calling and purpose, that is to our spiritual mentors, to the guardian angels, and they cannot respond to a request if we ask for something that is not in alignment with the divine plan, with the plans of our soul, because we as people sometimes choose a certain fate and certain lessons before incarnation. And then, in the middle of life, we decide to change something or go into degradation. We ask the angels, but we don't say that it's degradation, but rather that it will harm us. And when we ask, they will not respond to what is not for our benefit. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who is an entrepreneur. He started believing in angels and began to reach out to them, and they started helping him, and he felt it and saw it. Then he comes to me and says, listen, my angels aren't responding. I ask, why, Ruslan? He says, I started asking them to help me win the lottery and they don't respond. So I said, let's ask. We reached out and they said, when you win the lottery, knowing you and your character, it will not be for your benefit. It will be harmful to you. As soon as something comes to you that is not in your energy, you start to know how some people, when they get money, they begin to party, drink, and all that. They said, this will not be for your benefit. But if you ask us to give you ideas on how to earn such an amount, we will build a plan of action so that you evolve and change, and you will come to it. And in this case, it will not destroy you. That is, they will not respond to those requests that will ultimately bring you some harm. Because sometimes we ask for something that may harm us. Second, they never respond to requests when people ask for harm to others. They are forbidden to harm other people because all people are children of God. Some know this, some do not, consciously or unconsciously. But we are all children of the Creator, because sometimes people ask, I have encountered this. Well, for example, to make that colleague at work leave this job, to make him disappear, for the ground to open up and for him to vanish somewhere. Or something like, my grandmother is lingering in this world, I really need her apartment, and the 90-year-old just won't die, angels take her. I'm exaggerating. But that's how people ask. Maybe not exactly like that, but it exists. Angels will never respond to requests that will cause harm to others. They also do not respond to requests when it is not the right time, because you see, the request may be correct, but not in divine timing. For example, a child should be in the mother's womb for 9 months, but if you ask to give birth in the 4th month, even if you manage to pull him out, he will die. The time has not come. Many people have heard from higher powers the right thought, heard from higher powers a calling, a purpose, a dream, a goal. It is right, but for him, for this goal, there is a time, a season, and many grab it and hastily, prematurely try to realize it, and they experience, well, a kind of failure because the time has not come. And sometimes, for example, I often hear people say, I asked for a man to come to me, but they don't give me one. We make a request. When I was consulting, now more students are consulting, we make a request, and they say if a man comes now, he will come to her energy, to her vibration. It's not the time. She just entered school. In a year, she will be different, and a different man will come to this vibration and energy according to the law of resonance. Therefore, now is not the time. You just broke up with an abuser, so how can someone new come? Of course, they won't respond. We, as people, reflect what's inside us, and when we change inside, the reflection will change. Therefore, they also do not respond to this, and they also do not respond to this. Let's make a vaccination against infantilism, because many go to extremes. Like, if there are higher powers, then let the higher powers bring me money and place it on the table, or let the higher powers return my ex for me, or prepare something for me tomorrow. The higher powers and angels will not do what we must do ourselves. We do what we must do, they do what we cannot do. For example, there is a moment of fortune. There is a moment of luck, people say. And this is nothing more than attunement, synchronicity with life, the speed of materialization, that's all. And this fortune, luck, synchronization, quick materialization, they can do, but we must go and engage in projects, work, careers, do something, have children, raise them, engage in some creativity. What we can do and what we cannot do, they do. Open doors, introduce people, provide supernatural protection, give ideas, set up security for us, and people confuse this, so they have their role and we have our role. Initially, why did the Creator send them into our lives? Well, some call them angels, some spiritual mentors, spiritual guides, bright beings. It's all the same. Their purpose in our lives is that the Source loves us absolutely because we are its children. On higher planes of existence, we are one with the Creator. We are one with the Source. God is in us, and we are in Him. The Creator is us, and He is everything. He has, in a way, separated a part of Himself in our bodies, in this space, in this point in this world. And we have the illusion of separateness, as if we are ourselves, but we are one with Him. And He loves us so much that we do not feel lonely and abandoned here in our bodies. This is the deep function of why they are here, primarily so that we are not alone, and we have those who accompany us, what I call our spiritual dream team. Like those who protect us, accompany us, like our, well, more like not parents, but specifically our team. But they also have, like parental figures, different functions. The function of the light forces is to protect us, to protect, because we cannot always protect ourselves, to protect, to accompany us, to guide us, to guide, to give direction, to give us ideas, yes, to inspire us when we feel discouraged, when we get disappointed, tired, to inspire, to protect, to guard, to give ideas, thoughts, hints. Therefore, when people do not interact with them, they deprive themselves of this. This is one of the reasons why many experience stress, pressure, and excess weight, because imagine what is happening in the world right now, and just imagine, for example, I don't know how people live who do not believe. How can one survive in this world right now if they do not believe that there are higher powers, do not believe that there is an eternal soul, that all of this is a game, that you are loved, that there is a loving creator? How can one survive? I mean, you live in a hostile world and do not believe. And if you are a materialist thinking that I will die, they will bury me, and it will be good fertilizer, I don't know. I would go crazy. I cannot oppress myself because I have an ancient soul. I was just born. I already knew. I had already seen these. Well, everything. I felt that there is a source. There is an absolute I did not have. But there are people who believe that atheists, materialists, think that all of this is random.
It turns out they have a very bleak world around them.
How can one not feel sorry for such people? The truth is that there is a creator. And it is not just a law, it is not just some depersonalized energy. He is a personality. Yes, he does not have a physical body. Yes, he is multifaceted. Yes, we cannot fully perceive the creator, the source, with our limited minds in this incarnation at this point. But he is love, and he loves us, and he guides us, cares for us. And so that we do not feel lonely or abandoned, he gave us our helpers. I often tell people, you may not believe, but conduct an experiment. Say, angels love us so much that even if people do this kind of check, they make contact. I have suggested to some people, if someone is watching us and does not believe, then do the experiment. Angels love so much that they even go for this. Say, angel, I don't know if you exist or not. Maybe Agiev is making it up. I don't trust him. But let's conduct an experiment. If you exist, let me know. Manifest, show yourself, so I can be convinced that you are here. Within a week, there will be a sign. It has been checked many times. And then suddenly, a person changes. But some, even after the first sign may coincide, then a second sign. But they love so much. They are gentlemen, and they will not interfere without our request. They can only intervene if, for example, your calling, your destiny is such, and something threatens you, not timely. They will save and protect you, even if you do not believe, due to the fact that you have not yet fulfilled your mission. In other cases, many people cry, suffer, and struggle. Angels stand nearby saying, we resolve this issue by lunchtime. They can help, but if a person does not reach out, they do not interfere, they do not impose. They are not violators. Maybe you like being a masochist. Life hits, people hit, circumstances wipe their feet on you, you tie a rag on your head. Maybe a person likes it. Angels respect the freedom of choice, even though they could help, but that's how many people live.
Mikhail, if we return to the topic of transition, what is the specific role of angels in the transition?
Their specific role, as I already said, is to accompany us and to ensure we do not stray from this path. That is, they provide guidance. They give us direction, protect us, inspire us. It's complete accompaniment. I often fly somewhere, you arrive in an unfamiliar city, and someone comes to meet you as a guide, and you know nothing. They lead you, and when they are nearby, you feel calm. So, this is certainly their main role, to accompany us. And I heard you have a practice prepared for the colleagues. I would like to invite friends who will be watching us now in the recording or live. I want to conduct a simple practice so that everyone can do it at home. What is the purpose of this practice? To attune oneself and invite higher powers into one's space, into one's field. It can be done once a day, 3 times a day, or every day to strengthen this contact, this channel, and to ensure that the connection we mentioned at the beginning is always there. Because, as I mentioned earlier, they are gentlemen. They wait for this invitation. And the more often we reach out to them, the more we communicate with them. The stronger this channel, this connection will be. So, dear ones, to practice this, just relax and sit comfortably. It's better to close your eyes or defocus your vision, squint your eyes and start breathing. You can play calm music at home, some classical or meditation music. And just start breathing and recognize the divine presence that surrounds you right now. Begin to recognize believe and feel that the divine presence, a thick, tangible presence of love, is in your room, in your apartment, in your home, wherever you are right now. Begin to recognize that the forces of light, the Creator, the Source, the Absolute, are right now in your room, the loving presence of higher powers. And let this reality capture you more and more with each breath. And let with each exhale all your worries, concerns, and anxieties leave you. Let's take a breath in and out. Inhale this divine love, this divine presence. Exhale all worries and anxieties. And now I will say these phrases. Meditative, and you can repeat them to yourself internally, making them personal, and then this practice will actively connect you with the frequencies of higher powers right now. I thank the Almighty. I thank the Absolute. I thank the Creator for my spiritual mentors. Right now, I thank the universe. I thank the Source. I thank the Creator for my guardian angels, for my spiritual helpers, spiritual guides who are present in my life. I thank you, Creator, Source, for truly loving me, for deeply caring for me, guiding me, and I am always eternally in your hands. I thank you for sending into my life my spiritual guides, guardian angels, spiritual mentors. I thank you for them being near. Just repeat after me and make it personal and sincerely. I truly thank you for them caring for me right now. I thank you for them guiding me right now. I thank you for them mentoring me right now, protecting me and providing direction. Dear my spiritual mentors, dear my guardian angels, right now I acknowledge you in my life. Dear my beloved guardian angels, spiritual mentors, spiritual guides, right now I welcome you into my field, into my life, and I give you a place in my life. I give you a place in my family. I give you a place at my work. I give you a place in my life. In my health, I give you a place in my finances. I give you a place in my dreams right now. I acknowledge your role in my life. I acknowledge you in my life, your loving presence. I acknowledge your care. I acknowledge your protection. I acknowledge your help and guidance. I accept your help into my life. I accept your support in all areas of my life. I accept your support in the area of my relationships. I accept your support and help in the area of my spiritual growth. I accept your support and help in the area of my health, my well-being, and finances. I invite you into all areas of my life right now. I acknowledge you, I accept you, and I give you a little place. And I can boldly face the future because you are with me. I can boldly face the future because you are near. Your strength, your energy, is much more powerful and stronger than all my detractors and enemies. I thank you for holding me tightly by my right hand and leading me in my calling and purpose. I thank you. And I decide from this day on to always live in contact with you, in friendship with you, interacting with the forces of light. So be it, and so it is. Take a deep breath, exhale. You can exhale through your feet, grounding yourself, and return to us on the air.
Thank you, Mikhail. Friends, I remind you that you can find a lot of similar free information from Mikhail on his YouTube channel and other social media. We will leave the links below the video. Go ahead and get acquainted. We move on. We have the next question. Mikhail, what hints can you convey to us from the angels in the current situation?
In the present time, in the current situation, I have just made a request for this year. There is a specific message for all of humanity on what to pay attention to. I would say it is urgent, specific, especially as we approach the end of 2024. To convey it, I first need to create some context. That is, there are always forces of light around us, and there are forces of darkness around us. And just as there are at the personal level, there are forces of light that, for example, care for vast countries, peoples, regions, and continents. And there are forces of darkness that control certain countries, issues, and situations. There are various egregores. And today, the egregore of politics, enmity, and hatred is very active. Many people are now connected to the game of the mountain of politics, enmity, and hatred. How do people connect? When people become overly engrossed in watching the news, viewing politicians, watching opposing sides, they start to root for someone, and for someone else, well, you want these to win, you want these to perish, right? Hostility is kindled between people's negativity, aggression, right? And at that moment, people connect to these dark structures like egregores. They connect when they pay attention, when they start reading and watching in these Telegram chats. They immerse themselves in it. And when they look at it, this hatred, hostility, and opposition ignite within them. As I mentioned earlier, their energy is taken away, their energy is drained, and the overall energy weakens. Those people who are already under this egregore, and let's say, don't watch the news for a day, let's stop talking about enmity and negativity, they can't. It's like withdrawal. They are already connected. And what happens? You notice that people who are not in resource, people who are not at high vibrations become angry, irritable, unbearable. Why? Because when the energy drops in vibrations, a person declines. It's like the immune system in the body weakens and all diseases begin. Small entities start to attach to a person. Initially, our energy weakens from the influence of egregores when we give attention, and these thoughts of politics, enmity, and hatred capture us, lowering our energy. Later, these entities come when you feel bad. What does a person do? They start drinking, they start overeating, they start swearing, they start being aggressive. He is not interested in ordinary sex. When he is negative, he craves perversions, filth, small entities. And this is how it happens. And that is the overall context and the message for this year that the higher powers convey. And the most interesting thing is to ask a person, you watch these news, you want these to perish and these not to perish. You have this hatred. Can you help the world with this? You can't, because you are unloading into the collective unconscious, adding more darkness and negativity. Therefore, this is the context. The message for this year from the higher powers is special. Stop participating in the affairs of darkness and feeding the dark forces. Disconnect from the egregore of politics. Disconnect from the egregore of hostility and hatred. Realize that the earth is our common home. Realize that we are all children of God. That our homeland is all of humanity. There are just deceived people. There are people whose minds are captured. They kill and feud there. But we are conscious people. Those who watch such programs, we should not be like that. We should not connect. That is, disconnect and instead participate in spreading light. For example, we will provide a link. We have a meeting of like-minded people as a non-profit project where people can gather in a donation format, pray, and meditate in many cities. We have 140 cities around the world. Can you imagine? A non-profit project in 24 countries. And we do this to spread the light. We also have a chat. We will provide a link. Every week we hold a meditation for peace. Join us. Let's spread the light. This is the message, because when we pay attention to politics, hostility, hatred, conflicts, which people are right, which are wrong, these are good, those are bad, we increase the darkness. And when we start to visualize, believe, and feel that the universe, our planet, is a common home, that person is a brother and sister to another, that we are all children of God, confused but moving from darkness to light, then the light increases. This is the message.